Today we will continue with the rebuild of the M10 BMW M10 engine and how to become a A1 mechanic. And our focus today is going to be on the cylinder head. This is the complete cylinder head for the M10. We're going to disassemble it and also clean the parts and give each part an individual check. As I said before, each time you gotta clean the workbench. So we already prepared the workbench, clean it off, and take out some tools. You know, we don't need the complete toolbox, but we take out all the necessary tools that we think we would need to avoid me from going back and forth selecting tools. So that's one of the things when you're either pulling down the engine or the head. Just pre-organize the necessary tools that you would need. So now I'm going to take off both intake manifold first, distributor, and then we'll start to pull the valve train down. Now I'm just taking out the distributor. And this will have to set the timing when we fitting it back. And that's your distributor. Back in the days, most cars come with a distributor, some form of distributor for the ignition system. But now you have, coil pack. And very few cars come with a distributor now. Well, while I'm pulling down the engine, the cylinder head, we're also looking for any problem that the engine did have, and we want to make sure those problems rectify. And we can see where this intake manifold, you can see somebody put silicone on it, which is not a good thing on the intake manifold. But you could see where it also, this black area, meaning it was sucking external here through here. And you can see the same thing right here also. So something like that definitely would not make the engine idle good. I'm going to take the exhaust manifold off, and you can see it rusty and all the nuts are rusted also. But one interesting thing though, normally this have on some 12, not sometimes 13, but if you look under here, it have a broken stud, and then it have a 10 bolt here. Then it have a regular 12 bolt here. They're not. And this is what we're talking about here. Over here of the original correct bolts. And you can see they are the same size. And they are all lock nuts, those original. When you come under the lower section of the manifold, this is one broken stud. Somebody broke the stud and just leave it like that. And then this is the next one, more likely they damaged the stud, take the stud out and just put in a 10 bolt in there. This of an original. This one in here, that's not original. That's just a regular nut. So we have to correct all of that stuff. Now, I'm going to take the manifold off. We already see that some bolts is broken, the stud broken, incorrect bolts, and now I notice that a lot of the bolts are rusty. This means the spanner won't have a good fit because they're rusted away, or the socket won't have a good fit. And every time I work on the engine and get to the exhaust manifold, I always remember my first challenge in the garage. And one of my first challenge was me and the boss was working on a car with taking out the engine and the transmission. He gave me the job to remove the manifold. And off he went to his office. So I'm there fighting with the manifold. Can't find a socket or a spanner to fit the nuts. And I looked through the entire toolbox. But either the socket a little bit too small, can't go over, or a little bit too big. And I'm there fighting, and just can't pull one nut. So I ended up give up. And I go to the boss. And I tell him I can't get the manifold off. And the bolts are rusty and I can't find no socket that fitted in the toolbox. To my surprise, he replied, "What do you want me to do? Would you like me to call the customer and tell them we can't pull the bolts and we can't remove the manifold, so we got to give you back the car? Sorry, we can't do the job." I was surprised. I said, "Man, this boss hard." Then he explained to me, whenever you have a challenge doing anything on the engine and the car, always put your focus on finding a solution. How can you pull the nut? What other way you could try? What other thing you could use? What other tool? Focus on the solution. And he sent me back to the job and tell me to take the manifold off. Oh man, I was nervous. But I go back and I try. Then I see this tool in the toolbox look like it can grip something. Now I know it named vice grip. Back then I didn't know what it named. So I take it out, adjust it, clamp it on, and there you go, the nut start to pull. The boss come back, "How you tell me you couldn't get it off?" And he give me a pat on the shoulder, "Well done." From that moment, I've learned and I have removed the word can't from my dictionary. And whenever I'm working on the engine or the car, I don't use that word for no reason whatsoever. So all you apprentices who may be watching this video, I would recommend this solution to you also. Do not use the word can't. Always concentrate on finding a solution. How you can remove this nut, how you can remove this part. Just focus on the solution to get it done. Don't give up. And if you remove the word can't, you will find a lot of success. and you would even surprise yourself how you find the solution for the problem. So that's my tip in this section for the apprentice. Now we continue with removing this manifold and stripping the head. Okay, so I'm just putting a little bit of WD-40 on these bolts. Try and see if we can open them. Okay, so we're lucky so far. This one come out, but with the stud. Okay, so this is the incorrect stud here, bolt that someone put in. And you can see they put in the incorrect bolt. First of all, it wasn't tall enough, it needed to be at least this length. And you can see where, because it wasn't tall enough and wasn't gripping enough tread inside the head, you can see where it stripped some of the tread in the head right here. So it's just about right here was locking the manifold. And this is not good enough. That's why when you're working on the engine or the car in general, you have to always keep an eye out for incorrect work. The bolt, the nut alone is supposed to come off. In this one here, this have a stud, goes straight through. This other stud goes straight through the bolt, and you can look at the difference in length. You can see the difference in length, and those are the issues we're trying to avoid. It wasn't tall enough, that's why that aluminum. This is actually aluminum from the cylinder head, stripped away. So we don't accept that type of work. We want it go back. And now, not just that, now because this aluminum stripped away, we're going to have to try and use a stud a little bit taller than the original, maybe to about that. Just that we can get a good grip, because now it only have this amount leave. Which when you compare the two nuts, instead of it have all of this locking the bolt, the stud, now it will only have from here to here. And that's not good enough. Eventually it's going to come loose and the muffler start to leak, and domino effect, other more and more problems. So we're going to have to get a stud just a touch taller, 1/4 inch. Maybe like that. We see how much depth inside the head. Now I'm taking the manifold off. So the exhaust manifold is off. Now we're going to inspect what's going on with the exhaust manifold, especially like how we could see that it didn't have on the correct studs and nut and missing bolts. And you notice I keep wiping my hand. That's just to get oil and grease and dirt off my hand so I can get a good grip on the tools. And not to make the job messy also. So we're inspecting the manifold now. And what we can see is this is the broken stud. You can see the difference in length to this one that is broken and this one original. You can see the length. So the problem with this car is when the manifold get hot, it will make the manifold move out of position, and that's why you see this smoke here. So instead of all the smoke going out through the tailpipe, you can see it all along here, the smoke coming out. And right here again, you can see where the manifold leaking there again, because they use an incorrect stud in this one, which couldn't tighten properly, so it make the manifold leak this place. And if you look inside here, you can see, let me take the gasket up. Okay, so this is where they have the incorrect bolt they put in. And if you look in, you see how far down the screwdriver go to catch the thread. You can see how the thread damage and how far down. The thread actually is down about this amount in the cylinder head. And if you look at this one here, you can see the threading is right up where the manifold meet the head. It's flush. The threading start right from right here. But if you come back this one, you can see how the threading damage and it gone in about more than 1/4 inch. You can see. So this means we're going to have to use a taller stud, but you can't really see in there because it's a little dark. But you can see this to where the manifold, the stud finish, the threading finish inside the head. We're going to have this amount. So I'm thinking we have maybe just another 1/4 inch in that wasn't used before. So we'll try and use a taller stud there. And here again, after removing the manifold, you can see how bad it was leaking here. And if you look at one section that wasn't leaking, the complete thing's supposed to be like this. Nice and shiny, where you're seeing the aluminum. But because the exhaust was leaking, then you have all of this stuff here. This actually carbon built up. And the same thing here. And if you notice over here, you still see some shiny right there, where the surface is not full with carbon. That's because this bolt tightening properly. But if you look where the incorrect bolt was, in the same port, one side sealed good and the other side leaking. This not good for the performance of the engine neither. Also make sound different from what the car is supposed to sound like from the exhaust. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and recommend it to a friend. And if you're in the neighborhood, feel free to stop by and have a conversation. Or if you just want to send us your question or comment, we will show a reply in our next video. Thanks again for watching.